All right, back with another Warhammer 2 3v3 replay. Today we're going to have a match at the Devestation of Ostermark map. Rumor has it that there's a very valuable cheese here, and for that reason, all of these armies have assembled here today. I'm rocking the Dark Elves. I've got War Hydra, Sisters, Bleak Swords, Blackguard, and mostly a shooting type of army. My killing power is coming from these Dark Riders with repeater crossbows, 2 units of Shades who I've deployed over here to give some missile support to the Vampire Counts, and then in the back I've vanguarded a group of Raven Heralds. I was wondering if I was going to need them to go pick off some artillery in the background, so they were kind of a safe play for me. On the Vampire Count side, on my team, we have I have a Muffin, and he's taking a Herman Gorse build. Interestingly, he's put Gorst on his little cart there, so he is a bit of a fun a fun lord to play with. So we'll see how he does here, and he's supported with a couple Crypt Horrors and some Skellies. Nothing too crazy here. The big killing power is coming from these 2 Terror Geists, and he did bring an extra Necromancer for some additional summons. Rocking the Tomb Kings, we've got Headhunter 23. He's got a Bone Giant in the back, Chosen of the Gods, which are almost an auto pick for every Tomb King army. The Grand Hierophant Katep is making an appearance here, and to deal with some of the infantry, there's two Tomb Scorpions who perform quite well versus infantry, and a Necrosphinx to take on the large. There are 2 units of Spears and the Kepler Guard with very powerful regen ability. Then for the Lizardmen over here, these are being played by individual effort. I've been playing quite a few games with him lately, and it's always a fun matchup. He's brought 2 Revivification Crystals, Lord Mazdamundi, and Ancient Stegodon. So he's got a very large contingent here of big bruising monsters, backed up by some horn ones, just so that they don't get surrounded, which is a nice choice. And then a front line of Saurus Warriors. So with the 2 Revivification Crystals, he'll be able to pump in plenty of heals to the large or the Saurus Warriors as needed, as long as he can keep them online. For the Dark Elves, we have No Uncles playing a build with a Lokir Fellheart on the Dragon. Now, I've struggled with this build personally. It's pretty hard to, spend all of those points on Lokir Fellheart on the Flying Mount and still have enough of a front line to make your army viable, but he's going to give it a shot and a valiant effort at that. He took the Bolt Fiends for a little armor-piercing shield-piercing action there, and then the Sisters of Singing Doom in the background, which are a really nice choice for that terror ability that they can bring, which can sort of tilt the fights in your favor. Skaven player is being played by Vetri, Vetrii, and he's rocking a front line of Clan Rats, nothing too crazy there. Storm Vermin with Halberds on the one flank, and then regular Storm Vermin on the other. A couple Skaven Slaves thrown into the mix, and Clan Rat Spears, and in true Skaven fashion, they're a little bit of a disarray here, but nobody cares. And then 2 Doom Wheels. So these, I guess, are just going to interrupt things and hopefully run over some infantry for the Skaven player. Deathglow Bombardiers in the background, which is it's a fun pick. I don't see those very often. I do think if you're going to pick them, you probably want to support them with some Rat Ogres, just so that they don't get mucked up by large. But cool to see him take them. And a Warfire Thrower, which is also a nice pick, but Warfire Throwers have very short range, so I think they're best served deployed at the front of the army. So just a minor thing there on the deployment. For myself, I've got the 2 Dark Riders with repeater crossbows in advanced deployment just to kind of scout things out, and if I could get some initial harass, I wanted to do that. Also, I prefer that any missile play comes in at them rather than the more valuable units I have here at the back. So with that said, let's get this started. So the early action is going to be, I think, mostly on this right flank here. We've got the Lizardmen coming in, and they're going full steam into the Tomb King. They know that the Tomb King have the shooting advantage, especially with this Bone Giant here, who has 545 missile damage with anti-large bonus, and Mazdamundi does not want to give that Bone Giant any more time than needed to shoot at his precious revivification crystals, and that's exactly what the Bone Giant is doing off this initial play. My Raven Heralds in the back here just are looking for a target, but not too many valuable targets here other than those 2 Doom Wheels, so they'll be positioning in on those Doom Wheels on the far side. And my Dark Riders with repeater crossbows, I've pulled those back because I don't want to waste their missile on these low-cost units right at the start. The Dreadlord with sword and crossbow is also going to try and get in there on those Doom Wheels, and if I can take the Doom Wheels out early, then I know that I will have a speed advantage. Over here, Fellheart's coming in on some zombies, and the Terrorgeists are going to also try and muck up these Dark Shards. So the initial zombie summon here was just to tie down 1 unit of Dark Shards, and then some Fellbats again to tie down another unit of Dark Shards. That buys a little bit of time for these 2 Terrorgeists to come into the back line. Now, as a Dark Elf player, if I know that I'm going against Vampire accounts, I'm probably going to want to go with Shades instead of with Dark Shards, because I know it's so easy for Vampire accounts players to just summon a unit of zombies or skeletons on there, and then a lot of time is being wasted fighting off those units or basically pulling out of the fight. Now with the Lizardmen over here, we have Mazdamundi and his 2 Ancient Stegodons coming right into the Necrosphinx. That's a bit of a surprising play because the Necrosphinx is designed to deal with large targets like Mundi, like the Ancient Stegodon. It does have an anti-large bonus and armor pen, but in a 2-to-1 scenario with the support of these horned ones, it's basically surrounded. And before long, the Necrosphinx is just going to start crumbling right off the map. One of the Bastillodons gets sent over here to tie up the Bone Giant to just prevent him from shooting, because he is a better shooter than melee combatant. And then the other Bastillodon gets over here to tie up the Chosen of the Gods. So some really nice plays there by individual effort, really compromising the Tomb King front line and high value targets here. So I think what could have been done here is the Tomb Scorpions maybe could have been pulled back a bit earlier to support that Necrosphinx and deal with Lord Mazdamundi. They are not designed to deal with large. I mean, they have an anti-infantry bonus, but they still kick out a pretty solid 380 damage with armor pen. So desperate times call for desperate measures, and if I were the Tomb King player, that's probably what I would have done. Over here, things are looking pretty dicey for the Dark Elves. The Blades of the Blood Queen have gotten into like a grind fight with some Crypt Horrors and some Skellies supported by Gorse, but because of the healing power, they're just going to keep basically coming back to life. No matter how many of the Blades of the Blood Queen chop down, they're going to be back. And look here, Fellheart, because he's only 1 unit and there's 2 Terrorgeists, he's having a really hard time keeping his back line, up and active. On the far side, I'll just scoot my way over there really quickly. So I have been able to take out the Doom Wheels with Overwatch Fire from the Dark Riders and from the Raven Heralds. There is one very depleted Doom Wheel. I think the other one's been taken offline by now. The Deathglow Bombardiers are trying to trade some missile fire here with the Shades with dual weapons, who I've peeled off of the side here to come support my army. The Bleak Swords, they took some initial damage there for me, but they've pulled back, and yeah, so I'm okay with that situation. I'm just trying to pull this Skaven ball apart a little bit so that I can find some openings to, start picking away at them a little bit. And the War Hydra, with his ability to cause terror and ability to get right into these Deathglow Bombardiers, is proving really, really valuable for me early on. I did have a fair amount of core because I wanted to give some aerial support to the Raven Heralds in case things got a little bit dicey up there for them. But it's taken a beating now just from attacking the Doom Wheel, from some counterplay from the Assassin. And yeah, but overall, things are pretty steady for me on this flank. With the Doom Wheels gone, I'm feeling pretty good about myself with that Hydra being able to really go into pretty much whatever I want to be able to take out. So things are sketchy here for the Tomb Kings. This unit of Ishapti is going to crumble really soon. The Chosen of Gods have really been prevented from firing all game, and now this Bone Giant is completely surrounded. So it's not long before these Tomb King units are going to crumble, and I think the Tomb King player really would have benefited from having a couple units of halberds in their front line or in their back line to really support these Chosen of the Gods or the Bone Giant, just from situations like this where potentially they could be surrounded by large. If there was a unit of halberds nearby that could have come by to support, then that would have been a really nice counterplay to this Lizardman strategy. And I think if you're playing against Lizardman, you have to be prepared to deal with a lot of large like that. You know, he did have the Tomb Sphinx, granted, but yeah, it was a lot for him to deal with. So Vampire Counts, it looks like they've broken through basically all of the Dark Elf front line here. And Lokir Felhard, although he's full health, he's essentially had to pull back, and he's gone over there to just finish off the remnants of the Tomb Kings. The the Skaven is pretty broken off at this point. The Deathglow Bombardiers, I've been trying to essentially take them offline with all of my missile play from the Shades, from the Dark Riders, and with my Hydra when I have the chance. And their leadership is also broken now that it's really tough for them. And these Hellebronii, they've been tanking out basically 4 units of clan rats and just buying time for the rest of my army to work. So I think those clan rats, if they would have found a way to just ignore the Hellebronii or get away from them and put some pressure on these Shades, prevent them from shooting, that could have given the Deathglow Bombardiers a bit of a chance to work. Over here, Grand Hierophant Katep has realized that things have turned for the worse, and he puts the moves on Lokir Felhard, who's trying to land on him, but cavalry, if you're careful with your micro, you're able to dodge them out. 2 Terror guys come over. They haven't forgotten about Lokir Felhard, and so Lokir Felhard decides to call off the chase here. And Grand Hierophant Katep escapes with very little health, but that's a big win for our team. So very nicely played there. Mazda Mundi and the rest of his mob squad are going to just clean up over here, and I'm going to be mopping up these last few Ratmen with the units I have. So nothing too crazy for the next little while here. I mean, the Terrorgeist chased in with Lokir Felhard, but I'm going to just put this on fast forward. Hierophant Katep is found his way basically to safety with the remnants of my forces here. I'm not worried about these last Clan Rat Spears and the Warlord of the Assassin. I'm just going to sort of regroup here and prepare for this final encounter. I've got the very healthy Vampire Counts player here who I can sort of ally with, and if I can use the infantry of this player to kind of provide a bulwark against the shooting of my Dark Riders with repeater crossbows and some of my more like selective skilled units like the Shades, then that's going to work out really well for me. And we absolutely need to keep those shooting units online if we want to have any hope of dealing with the Lizardmen large. So the Raven Heralds are out of ammo right now, so I only have a few shots left on the Dark Riders with repeater crossbows. I do have a lot of ammo left on this unit of Shades, but they're depleted with only 23 models. Same thing here, only 23 models on this unit of Shades. So I need to make sure that I don't lose any more unit models, because we're going to have to definitely make every bullet count. The nice thing about my army is I did take a Dreadlord with the armor pen. Like, it's a Dreadlord with sword and crossbow, so he has guiding eye, and he can buff the armor pen ability damage of all of those units with repeater crossbows. So I'm getting extra value off of their ability to shoot in. So final encounter here is just kind of a mosh pit. Lokir Felhard dives in on her Helm and Gorse. That's a really tough situation for him to be in. He is large, so he's not going to get punted around as much, which means that he's going to take the full brunt of Lokir Felhard's attack. I do send in a War Hydra just to support, and over time they're able to do enough damage to basically break off Lokir Felhard, who was also pinned in place there. So very fortunate situation for us. And with Felhard off the table, that means Mundi is going to get basically gangbanged, and that's going to be the end of the fight. Yeah. So super fun battle here. I think there were a few lessons that really stand out in my mind before we get to the battle screen. End of battle screen. I think that the Tomb King player really needed some halberds to support that Bone Giant. Maybe he could have dropped the Shopti to do that. The Dark Elf player, I think the Dark Shards were not the best option against Vampire Counts. He would have been better off with some shades and maybe going a little wider instead of taking Loki or Felheart. But props for taking Felheart because he is a tough lord to play with, and sometimes it's just fun to try different lords. And the Skaven player, I think they needed some Rat Ogres to support the Deathglow Bombardiers. So, kill screen. What did well for me? Since my unit cards are up right away, the War Hydra was an absolute monster. The Blackguard of Grand, they held it off against like pretty much wave after wave of spears. Same thing with these Hellebronii. 121 kills against Clan Rats is not shabby at all. The Sisters of Slaughter also were able to clean up Clan Rats, no problem. And then the Dark Riders with repeater crossbows and the Raven Heralds were able to find their way onto the Doom Wheels, especially with the support of the Dreadlord. The Shades were able to shoot down the Lizardmen too. So that was very nice to have that armor pen buff to deal with those large targets. Headhunter, yeah, I think I already said just some halberds would be nice there. Nothing too crazy. I have a Muffin. Super cool. He took Gorst, and some very nice play with the Terrorgeist. The good thing about taking an army like this, where you just kind of have a death ball and you don't need too much micro, is it frees up your attention to really micro those high value units like the Terrorgeist. And they give Lokar Felhar all that he could handle. He pretty much had no ability to snare them and really finish them off. Okay, so I should put an asterisk beside that. He did have the Dark Riders, and they did an okay job of snaring earlier, but the Blackguard of Negron, they got tied up in some zombies, and they weren't able to follow up on the snare of the Dark Riders on those Terrorgeist. Had the Blackguard not been tied down in zombies, then yeah, sure, then the Dark Riders would have provided a lot more value. I think that if you are going to play against the Vampire Counts as Dark Elves, you have to be really careful to keep your Blackguard in reserve close to those Dark Riders, because as soon as those zombie summons come up on the Blackguard, the zombies are not going to win, but you're rendering a very valuable unit essentially useless for a large portion of the fight. So zombie summons are a super great counterplay to Blackguard. And then for individual effort, he's got a really nice army here. If you're going to go large with Lizardmen, which is a super fun thing to do, I think the Ancient Stegodon is like an MVP pick, and I've never gone wrong with Lord Mazdamundi on Slock. I think he's way, way stronger than if you take him just on his toilet seat, because you get so much utility from the large. You don't have to worry so much about him just getting sniped from shooting, and he's meant to go into the front line and support like infantry, right? And when you put him as lock, you pretty much have no fear of doing that. So I really like that choice by individual effort, and obviously he was very, very successful on that side there. Maybe a little bit of poison could have been helpful to mix in with that army there, and missile play was certainly a concern for individual effort late in the game. So maybe some skinks could have helped out with that as well. But I can't knock him too much, because he definitely, I think, was able to control his side of the map and did pretty well there. And Vetri, I think he played a great game too there. He did the couple of Rat Ogres to support those Deathglow Bombardiers would have really helped him out there. Cool that he took the Doom Wheels. I really like those. They're fun to play with. And also cool that he took the Warlord instead of Skrulk. So, it's nice to see Vetri trying some new stuff there. And like I said, the Warfire Thrower, I think it could have been deployed in the front. But other than that, really cool and fun game to play. And yeah, maybe there'll be another battle for some cheese at Ostermark again in the future. Let's find out. Thanks so much for your attention. Bye.